the Discovery Awards, our inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Alexander Mackay was Nova Scotia's Superintendent of Education from 1891 to 1927. He was a distinguished educator, scientist, and humanist. He was also the author of numerous scientific papers and a prominent figure in scientific organizations developing in Canada in the late 19th century. Mackay elevated science subjects to the same status as classical subjects. Before his influence, only elementary science instruction was given to younger students. This change provided a thorough introduction to the sciences for all students.
One of his objectives was to have students develop a love of Nova Scotia, to keep them from migrating out west to Ontario and Manitoba, etc. So he thought that by having them observe nature and the world around them, they would become more attached to Nova Scotia.
Mackay enlisted the help of thousands of Nova Scotia school children to study in one of the largest and earliest citizen science efforts in the province's history.
At the height, he had over 1,400 schools that were submitting results, so it's thousands of people participating in this project. So from a period of 1897 to 1923, he would receive reports from the teachers who would collect all their students' findings on their walk to school. There were two main areas he was particularly concerned with. That was the first occurrence of species, so the first time they saw a particular flower or plant or animal, and then when those observations became commonplace.
So you might imagine a child walking to school and discovering the first dandelion. And so that child would take the dandelion into the teacher or just somehow indicate that they'd seen it. The teacher would then record what the child had observed and the date. And then these things were summarized by the teacher and sent off to a regional center. Writing about the reports in itself shows how meticulous he was and how really advanced he was scientifically in his care for things like data quality.
Mackay's extensive catalog of events from the turn of the 20th century provided a rare opportunity for scientists today to compare and see how things have changed.
That's why we see things like the most recent study being able to come to fruition, because that data was accessible to everybody. It didn't just die in somebody's bookcase.
Mackay did research in a wide variety of sciences. He was a recognized botanist and published papers on nearly all the cryptogamic groups. His most extensive areas of research were the freshwater sponge and phenology.
Not only was he a superintendent of public schools for about 35 years, but he was also an exceptional scientist who began as a mathematician and physicist. He got a degree in biology and essentially became a really phenomenal naturalist. Mackay's data gives us a window that allows us to draw conclusions about how our world is changing.